Welcome to Neurological Concepts Made Easy. In this video, we are going to discuss about antiepileptics. Antiepileptics can be broadly classified into two groups. One as the first line drugs and the other as the drugs which are used for adjuvant therapies. So the first line drugs are phenytoin, carbamazepine, then we have valproate, which is being very commonly used, and phenobarbital, which is not much used these days except for the scenario of neonatal seizures and in status epilepticus. And then we have the most recent levetiracetam. So these are the first line drugs. Now the adjuvant drugs are gabapentin, felbamate, zonisamide, lacosamide, and the newer drug which is the perampanel. So these are the broad classification of antiepileptics. So now which we will go into each drug and discuss about it. So first about phenytoin. Phenytoin, the mechanism of action of phenytoin is it blocks the sodium channels, fast sodium channels and the recurrent sodium channels, and it is useful in partial as well as generalized seizure. The very important thing is it is a hepatic enzyme inducer, and this is going to influence a variety of drugs which we are going to add to phenytoin. And 90% of the drug is actually protein bound, and the free levels of the drug is increased in hypoalbuminemia. Hence, it is very important that the dose reduction is being made in renal failure, as renal failure frequently has hypoalbuminemia, and it is very prudent that we have to use a dose reduction in that scenario. The therapeutic range would be around 10 to 20 milligrams per liter. Rapid IV infusion at the rate of more than 50 mg per minute is going to result in a very severe bradycardia and hypotension, and this can lead on to sudden cardiac arrest. This can still happen, so you have to be very careful while we are doing that. And adverse effects in the form of toxicity, that is when the therapeutic range is being exceeded, it results in nystagmus, ataxia, diplopia, drowsiness, and hepatotoxicity. So these are the adverse effects following when it exceeds the therapeutic range. Now, chronic use is going to lead on to gingival hyperplasia, hirsutism, peripheral neuropathy, and bone demineralization. So these are the adverse effects that happen due to a chronic use. And one more very important thing is the rare adverse effect, which is the lupus and aplastic anemia. So you have to keep this in mind as well. Now the pink glove syndrome is something which is associated with this drug phenytoin. Okay, so these are some of the very important points about phenytoin. Now we will go to further discuss on about carbamazepine and the oxcarbazepine. Okay, so this drug has been introduced mainly for the focal seizures, and this is again a cytochrome P450 enzyme inducer, so it can induce its own metabolism. Okay, so that is why the dose is increased very gradually. We start at a very low dose and we increase it very gradually as it induces its own metabolism. Now the problem with this is there is a significant cross hypersensitivity in patients receiving carbamazepine, phenytoin, and phenobarbital. So we have to keep in mind that there is a chance for this hypersensitivity when these combination is happening to a patient. And the therapeutic range is around 4 to 12 milligrams per liter. Since it's an enzyme inducer, it is going to result in failure of the OCPs. Now the adverse effect is a transient leukopenia. The adverse effect is a transient leukopenia. Now coming to oxcarbazepine. Oxcarbazepine, the important thing is it is a less enzyme inducer than carbamazepine, and it can lead on to hyponatremia. The hyponatremia is more common than with carbamazepine. So oxcarbazepine has a tendency to cause more hyponatremia, and that would be a severe hyponatremia. That is again dose dependent, usually less than 125 milliequivalents per liter. And the mechanism of action is going to be fast sodium channel blockage for both. Now coming to valproate. Valproate is a very potent drug. It is useful in both partial as well as generalized seizure. So it is useful in both scenarios. It is one drug which is going to inhibit the cytochrome P450 enzyme, cytochrome CYP2C9. And this prolongs the elimination of other antiepileptics like phenytoin, phenobarbital, and even diazepam, and to a certain extent amitriptyline as well. So you have to keep this in mind when you are using combinations of these medications. The therapeutic range is around 50 to 100 milligrams per liter. The adverse effects are a transient hair loss, weight gain, and tremor. So these are some of the manageable adverse effects. It can lead on to hyperammonemia. Okay, it can lead on to hyperammonemia, and L-carnitine is used in acute valproate overdosage. This is very important. Now, it has been made mandatory in a subset of pediatric populations. There is a routine supplementation is being done in pediatrics who are in pediatric patients who are on this sodium valproate. Now, coming to the serious adverse effect. The serious adverse effect that is associated with sodium valproate is fatal hepatotoxicity, pancreatitis, and thrombocytopenia. So these are all the very serious adverse effects. And one more thing is women in childbearing age, when they receive this medicines, especially during the periconceptional period, they are going to have an increased risk of neural tube defects. That is the myelomeningocele stuff. So yeah, so they have to be very careful and they have to be changed to another antiepileptic. Polycystic ovaries, endocrine disturbances, all this could happen. And what they found was those children who actually received this drug in utero had a tendency to have low IQ. Okay, so they had a tendency to have low IQ. So this is very important when it antenatal. And phenobarbital and primidone. This is one drug. This is one drug. Primidone will be metabolized into phenobarbital once it's given. Its mechanism of action is to prolong the chloride channel opening. That is a GABA chloride channel opening. Okay, that is how it is going to act. And so both will block this high voltage calcium channel as well. Now, earlier it was very commonly used. Nowadays it is used only in pediatrics, especially in the neonatal seizures and as well as the status epilepticus. Nowadays it is not very commonly used. So this is again a cytochrome P450 enzyme inducer. Okay, and adverse effects are sedation, behavioral changes, and neurotoxicity. Okay, these are the adverse effects associated with phenobarbital and primidone. Now coming to the very important levetiracetam. Levetiracetam has replaced almost every drug these days. So it was introduced only as an adjuvant therapy. Nowadays it is the first line therapy of choice. It has a very favorable, why? Because it has a very favorable pharmacological profile, and the metabolites that are associated with it are not pharmacologically active. It is not protein bound. That is very important. It is not protein bound, and hence around only less than 10% is protein bound. So that is why when you are giving when in patients with renal failure, this drug can be given, and it has no serious adverse effects as well. The therapeutic range is around 12 to 46 milligrams per liter, and the mechanism of action, this is very important. It enhances GABA indirectly. It is a GABA enhancer indirectly, not a direct GABA enhancer. And it also has a tendency to block the high voltage calcium channel, and the main mechanism is the SV2A modulation. So all these are mechanisms associated with this drug. The adverse effect is mainly behavioral. There is some anger episodes kind of stuff. Nothing much serious. Now coming to gabapentin. Gabapentin is an adjuvant therapy used for treatment of partial seizures. It is having zero protein bound. It is not protein bound at all. Completely not protein bound. And there is no pharmacological interactions. It's a very good drug, but it is predominantly used for pain management rather than seizures these days. Coming to topiramate. Topiramate will reduce the efficacy of OCPs, and the adverse effects are weight loss, nephrolithiasis, and metabolic acidosis. Now coming to felbamate. Felbamate is used mainly in partial seizures, especially in patients more than 14 years of age. The adverse effects are aplastic anemia, hepatotoxicity, and it is also an enzyme inducer. It is also an enzyme inducer. So, sorry, it's also an enzyme inhibitor. It's not an enzyme inducer, it's an enzyme inhibitor. It has a positive effect on GABA modulation. There's a positive effect on GABA modulation, and that is how it is acting. It's acting in its anti-epileptic role. Now coming to lacosamide. Lacosamide is used mainly in complex partial seizure. Lacosamide is mainly used as an adjuvant therapy in complex partial seizure. It is very rarely used, so nothing much to talk about it. Now, the next drug I would like to talk about is perampanel. Perampanel is a very new drug. It is again an adjuvant therapy. It is again an adjuvant drug only. It is being used for this partial seizure in children or in patients more than 12 years of age. Partial seizure in children more than 12 years of age. The very serious adverse effect that it causes is the behavioral abnormalities in the form of homicidal behavior. Even they'll have rage to kill. So that is the one very serious adverse effect that has been associated with it. So homicidal behavior is one of the very severe adverse effects that is associated with this medication. Now coming to rufinamide. Rufinamide is again a newly introduced drug which has been used in the Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. It is used in Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. And now I'm going to talk about something very important, which is the craniotomy and anti-epileptic drugs. Craniotomy and anti-epileptic drugs. Regarding craniotomy patients and them receiving anti-epileptic drugs, there has been no specific recommendation by the American Association of Neurologists. So there is no recommendation to give an AED for a patient who is getting anti-epileptic, who is undergoing craniotomy. But even if for some reason you are starting them, considering that they may develop a seizure, even if you are starting them, the patient is not having a seizure. Yeah, that is, you are doing a craniotomy and you are worrying the patient will get seizure, but patient is not having a seizure. After starting it, you can stop the anti-epileptic drug by 1 week. Okay, so even if you start the anti-epileptic drug for a patient who is undergoing a craniotomy for an EDH or a tumor excision, and the patient is not having a seizure, you can discontinue the AED after 1 week. There is no need to put them on a lifelong anti-epileptic regimen. So 1 week would be the maximal time. Now coming to trauma and anti-epileptic drugs. So there are a few scenarios where there is an increased risk of seizure. Okay, this is very important and you have to know all the scenarios. One is the depressed fracture. The depressed fracture, frequently there is going to be a cortical breach, the dural breach and the cortical breach, which is going to irritate on the cortex and infection can settle in. Or if the LOC is longer than 24 hours, as in the case of a diffuse axonal injury. So again there is a higher incidence. Or if there is going to be a penetrating trauma. A penetrating trauma, it could be a sharpenal injury or it could be a fracture, whatever. Or if the patient is going to have an ICH, intracerebral hemorrhage, or if there is an advancing age, if the age is older and there is higher incidence of seizures, so you have to be very careful. Or in the scenario of early post-traumatic seizures. By early post-traumatic seizures, we mean seizures are happening within the 48 hours to 1 week time. Okay, so all these are scenarios where there is going to be an increased risk of seizure and you have to treat them with anti-epileptics. Okay, all other scenarios you don't have to put them on anti-epileptics unnecessarily. Even if you have to, you can stop it by 1 week. Now coming to drugs which produce active metabolites. Okay, of all the drugs which produce, there are only few drugs which are going to produce active metabolites. They are carbamazepine, and then we have its counterpart, which is the oxcarbazepine, and then we have primidone, and valproate, and lastly clobazam. So all these drugs have a tendency to produce active metabolites. The others, the phenytoin, the levetiracetam, they are all not going to produce any active metabolite. Okay. So with this, our discussion on anti-epileptics is complete. I hope you had a insight on it. Thank you.